They say Ragnarok was the inevitable end, the twilight of the gods, a fate even Odin himself could not outrun. But deep within the forbidden vaults of Asgard, buried beneath centuries of dust and divine deception, lies a prophecy that should never have existed. A parchment sealed in lightning, written by the Norns themselves, the weavers of fate. It tells not of the world's end, but of its correction. A paradox born from blood, a god of thunder not yet known, and a shadow that shared his spark. The prophecy warned that the one who carried Odin's storm would face not an enemy of flame, nor a monster of chaos, but his own kin. Odin read it once, then burned every copy that existed. But you cannot destroy destiny, only delay it. What he feared most wasn't Ragnarok's fire. It was the truth hidden in his bloodline, a child born of both Asgard's light and Jotunheim's frost. The prophecy called him Eitr, the firstborn of storm and shadow, the god that should never have been. And so, Odin buried his own sin and set in motion the true Ragnarok, the paradox of a god's legacy. Before Mjolnir, before the reign of thunder, there was war. Odin, the All-Father, fought the frost giants of Jotunheim to claim the 9 realms. But amid the battle's chaos, a forbidden spark ignited between Odin and the Lady of Shadows, Loki's sister, a being of both frost and spirit. Their bond was never meant to exist, for it defied the gods' laws and the throne's pride. Yet from their union, a child was conceived, a being neither frost nor light, but both. Odin feared the prophecy's whisper. A child of such power could either unite the realms or unmake them. And so, he made a choice that would haunt eternity. He ordered the child hidden, not killed, for even Odin could not slay his own blood, but imprisoned in Ginnungagap, the realm between creation and nothingness. He told no one, not Frigga, not Heimdall, not even the Norns who had written fate itself. He sealed the child with the spear of Gungnir, whispering, "Let my sin be forgotten." But the cosmos remembers what the gods wish to forget. In that void, something stirred. Not death, not silence, but rage. For centuries, the 9 realms sang of peace. Odin ruled, Thor rose to glory, and Loki wove his tricks. But beyond Yggdrasil's reach, in the eternal silence of Ginnungagap, something was awakening. The imprisoned child, untouched by time, began to dream. Every beat of Thor's thunder echoed through his slumber, and with each strike of Mjolnir, cracks formed in the barrier that bound him. They called him Eitr, the first drop of poison, the name the Norns gave to creation's chaos. When he opened his eyes, frost and lightning merged for the first time. He saw no father, no home, only betrayal. The power of 2 worlds burned within him, the storm of Asgard and the ice of Jotunheim, and it screamed for recognition. His first breath froze galaxies. His first step shattered the void. As he looked toward Asgard, memories not his own filled his mind. Odin's voice, Thor's thunder, Frigga's warmth. All of it lies, he thought. The gods took everything and left him nothing. And so, Eitr began his journey back to the realm that denied his name and his vengeance. It was Loki, the trickster, who stumbled upon the secret first. Searching Odin's vault for relics to claim his birthright, he uncovered something far beyond gold or power, a crystal sphere pulsing faintly in the shadows. Inside, suspended in light and frost, was a sleeping child, untouched by time. On its base, engraved in golden runes, Eitr Odinson. Loki froze. The air grew colder. For the first time, he saw Odin not as a father, but as a liar. He remembered his own adoption, the truth of his frost giant blood, the shame Odin had hidden. How many lies had the All-Father built Asgard upon? When Odin found him in the vault, his voice carried no thunder, only fear. "You were never meant to see this," he said. But Loki already knew. His smirk faded to silence. The child inside the crystal began to glow, reacting to Loki's magic. A crack appeared, a whisper of frost and lightning leaking out. Loki stepped back, his heart trembling. "Father," he whispered, "you didn't bury a secret. You buried a storm." When the crystal cracked, the seal that bound Eitr shattered across the cosmos. A surge of energy rippled through Yggdrasil. Every realm trembled. The skies over Asgard darkened, not from Surtur's fire, but from something colder. The void had been breached. Eitr awoke in a storm of frost fire, surrounded by echoes of Odin's betrayal. His body glowed with runes that spoke languages no god remembered. The realm he once called home had forgotten him, but his blood had not. The memories of two worlds clashed within him, the ice of his mother and the thunder of his father. When he screamed, lightning burst from his lungs. The Bifrost flickered. Heimdall's eyes opened wide. Across the 9 realms, the storm was felt and feared. Odin's sin had returned, and this time it had a voice. Eitr looked upon the stars, his gaze fixed on Asgard. "You took my birthright," he whispered. "Now I will take your crown." His hand raised, summoning a spear of frost fire, his own weapon of divine vengeance. Ragnarok had begun, not with prophecy, but with justice. In the golden halls of Valhalla, Odin's spirit trembled for the first time. His sons stood before him, Thor in disbelief, Loki in silent fury. The All-Father's voice cracked like thunder without strength. He confessed everything: the forbidden love, the hidden child, the erased prophecy. "He was my firstborn," Odin said, "but his birth would have doomed the realms. The Norns warned me, one son to rule, one to destroy. I chose the throne and buried my blood." Thor's heart shattered. All his battles, his triumphs, his legacy, built on a lie. Loki turned away, whispering, "You feared him, not because he'd destroy Asgard, but because he'd reveal who you truly were." Odin's spirit began to fade, the weight of his deception collapsing upon him. "Eitr is not evil," he murmured. "He is what I made him, a god born from guilt." But Thor knew it was too late. The storm had already risen, and this time, even the gods could not silence it. The day Eitr arrived, Asgard fell silent. Lightning covered the sky, frost spread across the Bifrost, and thunder rolled like drums of war. Yet when he stepped into the Golden Realm, his eyes weren't filled with rage, but sorrow. He looked upon Asgard as a son looking at a father's grave. Thor descended, Stormbreaker glowing with crackling light. "If you seek destruction," he said, "you'll find me first." But Eitr only whispered, "You are not my enemy, brother. You are my proof." The sky split open. 2 gods, children of the same storm, faced each other, one born of lies, one born of truth. Lightning danced between them, as if Yggdrasil itself trembled. Loki watched from the balcony, knowing that this fight was inevitable. The first strike came not from hate, but from destiny. When thunder met frost fire, the heavens screamed. And in that scream, Asgard's history began to rewrite itself. The clash of gods shook the 9 realms. Every strike sent shock waves through creation. Stormbreaker met the spear of shadows, lightning clashing with frostfire. Eitr moved like a storm reborn, each swing a memory of the pain Odin caused. Thor fought with the fury of a son protecting the legacy he once believed in. Mountains cracked, oceans froze midwave. Valkyries watched from afar, powerless to intervene. In every flash of lightning, Odin's face appeared, proud, fearful, fading. But amid the chaos, Thor saw it. Eitr's rage was hollow. His eyes held not hatred, but heartbreak. "I didn't want this," Eitr shouted over the storm. "I want to know why I wasn't enough." Thor lowered his weapon, chest heaving, because Father feared what he didn't understand. For a moment, silence. The thunder stopped. The storm rested. But destiny is cruel. The spear of shadows struck one final time, splitting Yggdrasil's roots. The realms began to collapse, folding in on themselves. Time shattered, and in that chaos, truth was born. As their weapons collided, time itself shattered. The fragments of past and future spilled across the battlefield. Thor saw visions. Eitr sitting beside him at Odin's table, Asgard never falling, Loki smiling without deceit. He saw what could have been. In one vision, Odin chose love over power. In another, Eitr became the protector of the Nine Realms. Every possibility screamed through Thor's mind like lightning. And in the center of it all stood Eitr, whispering, "We could have changed everything." Thor reached for him, but the storm consumed them both. Reality bent. The Nine Realms reset. History rewritten, but not forgotten. When Thor opened his eyes, he stood in a quiet Asgard, rebuilt yet unfamiliar. The Golden Hall stood tall, but no one remembered the battle. Only the faint echo of a storm lingered in the air, and a single name whispered through the wind: Eitr. Years later, stories of the Ragnarok Paradox became forbidden tales. Asgard was rebuilt, peace restored, but the truth of Odin's bloodline was buried once more. Only Thor remembered. Sometimes, in the quiet after thunder, he felt another heartbeat within the storm, a reminder of a brother lost to time. He no longer fought for legacy or power. He fought for truth, for redemption, for the gods to remember that even they were bound by the consequences of their choices. They say Thor wanders the realms now, searching for echoes of the storm that once shook creation. Because somewhere beyond the edge of time, a spark of frost fire still burns, waiting to rise again. Eitr's legacy lives not in vengeance, but in the balance between creation and destruction. The gods learned that every storm has two sides, and sometimes the end of the world is just the beginning of understanding.